Good afternoon, Queen's Voice. Peter Cafalis, reporting today from Garden City, Long Island, here in Nassau County. So we're at Ray Longo MMA Academy here, who's produced countless champions. He's been in movies, he's done stunt work. But Ray, thanks so much for having us.
Awesome, man.
Appreciate it. As you guys can see here, the famous Silver Weidman poster there, who stopped Anderson Silva's 17-win streak. Long time he was undefeated, and also, Matt the Terracera, you've trained him, who famously knocked out George St. Pierre, former champion, and also one of the few UFC Hall of Famers.
Yes.
So what is it that Ray Longo has that just produces all these killers at UFC? I mean, legendary fighters and current bantamweight champions here.
Yeah. First off, one correction. I never did any stunt work. I have been in a couple of movies, but definitely no stunt work.
No stunt? Okay.
Not that I couldn't do.
Sorry,
But,
everywhere I looked, they listed you as a stunt.
Do they? Yeah, I don't know what. I have nothing to do with that stuff. But
Okay.
look, man, I've been blessed to have really good athletes. I mean, Weidman is a stud. Serra was a stud. Aljo, Marab. Look, when you're surrounded really with talent, it's hard to really screw that up. So those guys, I've been blessed to be able to work with them. I'm glad it's all worked out. All of those guys have, they're very successful. 3 guys are still fighting. Serra's successful with his schools, but they all have other interests, and there's nothing to worry about. They're all doing great, so that makes me happy. I mean, it was those guys were great to work with, and still we got Marab and Aljo floating around. So I don't want to, and Weidman. Weidman's fighting at the Garden too.
And I'm sure you got some young talent. We've seen a lot of young guys here.
Yeah, we got the young guys coming up. There's about, I think we have 10 guys altogether in the UFC and for a 5,500 square foot gym. Just really proud of that, because we go up against mega gyms, 30,000 square feet, 40,000 square feet, 20,000. We're a little 5,000 square foot gym that has done a lot of good things in the sport.
Listen, absolutely. And if you've been watching, MMA any time over the last couple of decades, your face is just as known, if not more known, than many of the fighters. So I've seen you in countless corners, coming out of the tunnel, like Matt Serra, Weidman, et cetera, et cetera. So, Ray, you were born in Astoria, in Queens.
Born in Astoria, Queens, raised in Long Island.
Raised in Long Island. And interesting, you had graduated from St. John's University as an accountant.
Yes.
And I was looking up your earlier days. They said that you were an accountant by day, and at night you were training some fighters when you had some time.
Yeah. See, I got to start looking at what they're writing about me. But
somewhat accurate, or?
Yeah, no, it's accurate. No, 100%. No. While I was in St. John's, I definitely wasn't training anybody, but I was still training myself. After I got out of St. John's and started doing the accounting, then so it's an accountant by day. Yeah, I started training a couple of people, like in
Evening?
The corporate offices. Yeah, there were guys that wanted to learn, so I was still training. So I started training like the president and the vice president, that type of shit.
So what was it that finally made you say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to leave the accounting gig behind and get into coaching full-time and produce champions?
I mean, that was a really easy decision. My brother also graduated St. John's. He was with Price Waterhouse, and the guy's just brilliant. Like, he's good. And then I would get into these accounting meetings with guys that were just, man, they were super smart. And they loved the accounting as much as I loved the fighting. So I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to love accounting as much as these guys, and I'm never going to be as good at them as these guys are. They're just into it, still to this day. So I said, I got to get the hell out of here. I did like the, the opening up of school and training people, and I felt that's where my passion was. And I always had a saying, if you find something you would do for free, just figure out how to get paid for it. And I think that's what I did. I would have taught for free. It didn't, matter, but knock on wood, it all worked out really well.
So you're doing what you love?
Doing what I love, and I think that's why I'm still going at 66,
No, you look great for 66.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I think because these guys keep me young. It's when you're surrounded by young people, nobody's talking about, I can't get out of bed, I got to go see the doctor.
Yeah.
So it keeps your mentality even good, I believe.
So they
don't want to hear me bitching. I'll tell you right now, that's for damn sure. But
So everyone knows that Ray's a striking coach, but I saw that you were a certified instructor of Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do.
yeah.
So how much of that, when you're training the guys here, how much of that plays into what, training them to get into the cage, so to speak?
I'm going to say a little bit, but more importantly, the Jeet Kune Do kept me involved in martial arts. It was really, I believe those guys back in the 80s were way ahead of their time. And, it did build the love of the martial arts. And then I just segued right in from that into training people. But that's always going to be my foundation. So yeah, I draw from that. I'm not saying it's 90%, but there's definitely 30-40%. Comes from the Jeet Kune Do. I think I had some really good instructors.
And then I would assume for the jiu-jitsu and the submission stuff, you'll probably lean on your partner, Matt, for the training on that, obviously.
He gave up on my jiu-jitsu years ago. It doesn't matter. That's easy. But yeah, so that's why we had a good thing. He had the floor covered, I had the stand-up covered. And I think that was the magic, that everybody got really, really good training. And Sarah's absolutely phenomenal with the jiu-jitsu.
I mean, UFC Hall of Famer, knocked out George St. Pierre, Renzo Gracie black belt, the first American to be awarded by Master Renzo Gracie a black belt.
Those were the days. Those were the days, man. Really fun time growing up when nobody knew any jiu-jitsu. When I think Greg Kukak came here in, I want to say 92, 93 maybe. And, and then Renzo followed him, so. Yeah, it's been a good run. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of schools now.
A lot of schools.
The Gracies and Machados.
Just where this whole sport and where the jiu-jitsu, you couldn't find 5 jiu-jitsu schools, back then. That is jiu-jitsu schools all over the place, and for the most part, everybody's very competent. I mean, I think Hickson said that after one of the fights, like, aren't you afraid of teaching jiu-jitsu? It's going to work against you. And he's like, look, if it works against us, it's because they'll be using jiu-jitsu too, and that'll help the sport grow and help jiu-jitsu grow. And I think he was 100% dead on with that.
We recently did an interview with Robson Gracie Jr., Renzo's youngest brother, and I was just making a joke with him, but I said, you guys taught everyone your system, and now you got to fight against those people here in America and Europe and all over the world. So I kind of did it to yourself. You've taught everyone your tricks, and now you got to learn their tricks. They got to learn your tricks. My point only being is everybody today in MMA is very well rounded. You can't just be a great striker or submission.
Without a doubt, 100%.
Everybody you're fighting knows a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and I think it just kept the whole system rolling. You know what I mean? So I think that's what kind of Hickson said. But we'll have to do jiu-jitsu, so that's going to benefit all the jiu-jitsu plays. Look at Renzo's school, huge. Probably got the biggest jiu-jitsu school in the country. Maybe the world. I don't even know. I mean, it's big.
A lot of activity.
A lot of activity going there for years.
Early to late.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it just happened. This is going on the last 20 years. He's been killing it.
Like 96, yeah.
I'm going to say so. Yeah, maybe so. It's even more than.
Yeah, no, it was. We were there a few weeks ago, and it was a lot of stuff. The Muay Thai upstairs.
Yeah, they got a great.
They have 3 levels.
Yeah.
We saw 2 of them anyway.
I used to take Chris there to spar for the Anderson Silva fight. Just a nice place, nice people. And Renzo, he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, legendary.
Yeah, 100%, great guy.
Now, the one thing with 2 of the guys that you've coached, obviously Matt Terracera and Weidman, they were both considered underdogs, and they've done extremely well. I mean, shocked the world, stopped Anderson Silva at 17 wins. It was legendary. I think that went on for a couple of years at least with 17 wins.
Yeah.
And obviously, Matt's fought the best of the best. When he was in the cage and to knock out George St. Pierre, he cemented himself as a Hall of Famer in the UFC, which is no small task.
Definitely not.
It's got to make you feel proud as being
100%.
Someone behind these guys and a big part of their success and training them and pushing them and all that good stuff.
100%. Boy, it'll never be duplicated, or it's going to be hard to duplicate, because both of those guys were homegrown. They threw their first punch with me in the fights. Plus, to do that, you have to then, there has to be another dominant guy. Like St. Pierre was dominant. Anderson Silva was dominant, and these guys beat him. So it's not just winning a title. It's winning a title against a guy that, like 2 big underdogs, so.
Against 2 legends.
Yeah, I'm going to say Aljo was probably an underdog, but not a big underdog. And Merab closed as an underdog, but slight, I think. I don't know, you probably know better than me.
And,
my brother's here. You want to play a little bit?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you currently have the bantamweight champion in UFC, Merab Dvalishvili.
Yeah.
Forgive me if I pronounced it wrong, but obviously, well-rounded guy. You don't want to go on the ground with him. You don't want to strike. I mean, he can do it all.
Yeah,
Safe to say.
100%. He's relentless. Got an endless gas tank, And he's a guy that acts as weaponized his gas tank, and I think probably a quarter of the fights he's going to win before he even gets in there, because people know that this pressure could just break him, you know, and I think that's a huge weapon to have. Plus, you know, he will trade with you, and he's not going to stop. You got to kill him to stop him. So he's got some really good qualities.
And is his in the gym when he's training and rolling and training with everybody here? I'm sure he's probably out energizing everybody. It just seems like
Yeah.
he just, you know, you can't catch up to him.
No, he's tough. But the guy you just met over here, Pumi, could keep up with him though, which is amazing because he's another.
Young guys.
Yeah, young guys, yeah. But Pumi's got a gas tank too. So those two guys together, it's always fun because it's hard to gas each other out. But yeah, I mean, Marab, I can't say enough about him. He's a great kid. Him and Aljo not really split their time. They are living in Vegas for the last couple of years. So it's great when they come out here and train. But for the most part, they're in Vegas now too.
Right, and also there's been some other Cuomo. I know you've trained in the past.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And Al, obviously.
Al Quinto, I love Al.
Yeah, Al Quintos.
I mean, again, so it's 4 champs, 1 guy, 5 guys that fought for the title. I mean, he took that Khabib fight literally on 24 hours notice. He was going to fight a 3-round fight. The only guy to go 5 rounds with Khabib in a title fight.
Fearless.
I mean, I can't say enough about that guy. I mean, I would have loved to have had a full camp for that.
And not to leave anybody else, a lot of guys that you've trained and currently train. I'm just for a view, I'm just thinking of the ones that just come to my
we
head.
could just pick anybody off the wall up there if you want.
Basically a wall of top-notch talent and champions and former champions. So now tell us if you don't mind. I know we were talking a little bit earlier, and everybody seems to say you were a stuntman, which I know we talked about. That's for some reason they put that about. If you want to get something else on your resume, it's out there. But tell us about the movies. I know there was 4 I came across. I can recall that there was 4. Is there one that stands out the most, or one that you had the most fun making, or
But you know what? I don't really do it a lot, so they're all good experiences. And for me, it was just stepping outside of my comfort zone, because that's definitely totally different. Where I'm panicking a little bit. You got to remember your lines. I think I learned a lot from there's an actor, Eduardo Ballerini, who I freaking love. I think he's a great actor, but he was in The Sopranos. He did a movie called Dinner Rush, but I really learned a lot from him. Really like him a lot. We did 2 short films together, and I like those. But The Brooklyn Banker was a good movie. I just really was standing around and maybe had 1 line in there, but the other shorts were really good. And there's a new one coming out called Caper. And then the other thing I did was Kevin Can Wait with Kevin James, who I was training at the time, who was another Long Island guy, great dude. But he let me have a couple of lines or 1 line on his show, Kevin Can Wait, with Harry Connick Jr., which was awesome. So I'm going to say that was probably the most fun I had was with Kevin on Kevin Can Wait. And the other ones were just great experiences, just to know, kind of get a feel for what that industry's about. It's a lot of just sitting and waiting, and probably drive me crazy. I can't see ever doing it, but every so often to jump in there for a couple of days is fun.
What led you or initially got you into being in front of the camera? Was it somebody just invited you one day, or was it something you always...
I was training wait, how did that happen? I was training a guy, Mike Resigliano, who wrote The Brooklyn Banker. And I was training him, and he said, hey, we're doing, there's like a social club scene. You want to just do like a stand-in.
Guest appearance?
Like something like that, right? And I went down, we went to, a restaurant. Oh, man, I'm blanking on the name. Famous restaurant in Williamsburg.
Peter Luger?
No, it's an Italian place. It's been there for like 100 years. Wow, my brain is shot. But I went there, I met Federico Castelluccio. He's the guy that played Furio, and he was directing it. And he was like, oh man, we got to get this guy some lines. This will be good. And then they wrote me some lines, but I think there was a SAG thing. There were other people, so I think I got 1 line in that whole thing. But that was a lot of fun. It was just, so I credit Mike Resigliano, and he also did the short. He did one of the other shorts. And he's always, whatever he does, he always tries to put me in there. So it's fun. It's the way, it's a very close-knit industry where if you know somebody, you'll be in good shape. It's almost like not that I'm not comparing myself, but it's like De Niro and Scorsese. You know, they did like the movie back in the '70s, Mean Streets. And
Yeah,
then, you know, you could see he takes Keitel, he takes De Niro. They all start
Shift
working
around.
together, and that's it. The crew, the producer, I think everybody. It's like a package deal. That's my interpretation. I could be wrong.
All right, and now we're here. It's a little, on an early Sunday evening, so it's a little quiet. But during
Yeah.
a typical Monday through Friday or Saturday, how many guys are usually here? I see you have seems to look like a full cage, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah, that's a pretty
full
good-
set regulation
pretty close,
cage.
yeah.
So what's a typical day here? You guys open up in the morning and immediately start getting into warm-ups, or just start
No,
punching in the bags? or-
guys are training from 10 in the morning till like 9 at night. So in the morning, you know, you get a lot of private training, a lot of one-on-ones, and a couple of little groups. And then at nighttime, you know, we have the group classes, the MMA classes, the Thai boxing classes, jiu-jitsu, and the wrestling. So we're starting to just now start doing a little, try to build up like the daytime classes, but there's a million people in here today just kind of training. You know, everybody's got like a training partner, and they come in and do their thing, and, you know, they get supervised. But yeah, it's not like the nighttime. There's like 50 people in here at a clip, which is a lot for this place.
And so it's women, kids, adults, all
Women, kids,
all
kids.
ages, all experiences.
Yeah, mostly
all levels.
guys right now. We have women, we have kids, but the guys, believe it or not, man, it's just a lot of guys fighting. Like there might be 25 guys fighting out here, which is crazy. And some guys just do kickboxing. Some guys just compete in jiu-jitsu, and some guys and a lot of guys do the MMA.
So besides the full contact cage fighting, you've got other guys that are in
Well, yeah.
submission role or
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
another. So
Plus,
they're not all
I
on
mean,
UFC, obviously.
Plus a lot of professional people that need to decompress come in here, and they do a lot of private lessons with guys that own businesses and stuff like that.
You know, a lot of people coming here these days, physical, just to be fit or self-defense, or is it more they just want to get better at their craft, or
I mean,
combination?
the older guys come, like, again, to decompress and to stay in shape, and the younger guys come in piss and vinegar. They want to fight, which you could imagine. But it's a nice mix of everything.
And I noticed you also have a little space on the top there that has some bags hanging, and
Yeah.
do some sparring up there.
Yeah, well, there's another person in here, Eric San Jose. He runs like a taekwondo class up there, and he does his privates up there. So
Nice.
yeah, it's nice. Separates everything.
And how many guys would you say, I know besides a couple of young guys we met when we walked in, how many guys do you have that aren't competing right now that you're grooming them to get there? They're either ready now or they will be soon? You've probably got another 20 guys.
I don't
probably
even know. I
working
think
in.
everybody's competing now. I don't know. I'd have to look around. I'm sure there's a couple more, but for the most part, we have a lot of guys competing.
So does it get contagious? These guys get here maybe not having the intention, and they see
Yeah.
everybody and they're like, hey, Ray's getting everybody else in the cage. Like, I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
get in the cage myself.
Yeah, that's a problem, I think. But I mean, I'm slowing down. So I think they, for the most part, give me a break and try to leave me alone a little bit. But I mean, whatever I could do, I will do. You know what I mean? Like some fights I don't even make on the local scene now, which used to make every fight. It's just not even possible. I was in Vegas for a week, then I came home for a day, went to Paris for a week. So I'm just by the time I recover, there might be another 5 fights going on. So. But I still love it, and whatever I can do, I do. But we have a really great bunch of teachers in here, guys that take care of everybody. So kind of like, delegating as much as possible.
And what fighters do you have coming up next in UFC? They can see you probably in the corner of them. What do you have coming up for our
Well, we
audience?
got Chris Weidman at the Garden, Madison Square Garden, November 16th. Aljamain Sterling's fighting Mozar Evelev. I probably pronounced his name wrong. December 7th at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. And then I think we have a couple of local shows right after that and right before that.
And those 2 cage fights you'll probably see on TV. We'll see you in the corner there.
Yeah. Hopefully.
See you walking out of the tunnel.
Yeah. At least I won't be limping out of the tunnel. I was limping for a couple of years. It was horrible.
What do you do when you're not here? Obviously you have a family, but do you have any hobbies? Do you like to play with cars? Do you like to tinker with stuff at home?
I play the guitar. So it's like a meditation. Still a work in progress, but I like playing that. That's like my form of meditation.
What type of music are you into?
I'm an old school. Give me Zeppelin, the Stones, Santana,
Sabbath.
Yeah, definitely Sabbath. Back in the day, yeah, Sabbath was radical back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, because they were around in the '60s into the early '70s, I think, for the most part, right?
Heyday.
Yeah. Jethro Tull, remember them?
Jethro Tull.
I mean, Tull was bigger than all of them back in the day. I remember I had a chance to go see, I'm going to say it was 1973. Fuck, I'm getting old. 73, it was, I could have either went to see Tull or Zeppelin. I went to see Tull. Tull was huge back then.
Well, speaking of Zeppelin, I was reading an article recently that in the 10 or 12 years they were active, they sold 300 million records worldwide, as opposed to almost 50 years of Kiss with 100 million.
Yeah.
Just to give you, you know, when I saw that, I said, wow. Like,
No, they you know, even on Cyrus, they had their own channel. Zeppelin was phenomenal. And I do think music is like the martial arts. Like, you could have a scale. Everybody knows the scale, but everybody plays that scale differently. They mix it up, and it's just like, hey, here's a jab, cross hook, takedown. How do you express it? You know, I view it as the exact same thing. So you see a lot of martial art people, they're into music and they're into playing because it's a creative. I think it's the creative side of you. So, but nothing beats the old days of music for me. I don't even consider anything music at this point. Not like those guys. Like when Hendrix was around and Clapton and Cream and all that was the golden year. If you were around at that time and you liked music, that was the best, by far, the best time to be around.
unfortunately, they're either all passed away or retiring or.
Yeah, well, I heard a lot of guys. I mean, the Stones are in their 80s. They're still playing, but I think they have backup musicians now because they can't do that struggle anymore.
Yeah, it can't go on forever. Who would you say, like the top 2 or 3 guitarists that you think are your favorites?
I go with Jimmy Page and I mean, obviously you got to go with Hendrix just because he was before anybody even knew what craziness was. But Page is my favorite. You know, Clapton, I like Clapton, but I go with Page and Hendrix. And I tell you what, if you really, I mean, as far as for technical stuff, I mean, those Nashville guys like Roy Clark was phenomenal on the guitar. Some of those country guys were absolutely phenomenal. That's what I love about music. It's just like fighting. You see a technique, you steal it, you go into the ring, you try to use it. Those guys all, you know, who copied this guy, who heard that guy there, gave him a same exact thing, you know.
Obviously, Jimmy Page high on the list of people emulating and trying to anyway.
Page was, I mean, you always got to look, it's like Bruce Lee. You know, he really did, at the time Bruce Lee was famous, nobody was doing anything. They were doing katas, they had their heads up their asses. This guy, now looking back, he doesn't look as special as he was, but back then when he came out, that was considered radical stuff. Him hitting a heavy bag was considered radical stuff, you know.
He was way ahead of his time.
Way ahead of his time. So, and I'm going to say Hendrix, way ahead of his time, you know.
And the stories that we hear, whether they're true or not, that he would literally, you know, soak his headband in LSD and put it on.
Oh, well, I didn't hear that one.
Stories, I mean, tripping out, you know, and just, you know, a lot of those like Sabbath too, just how you could be at that level.
Oh, well, with that you're saying, yeah.
Just how you could be at that level. But,
I think that's a great question.
Pink Floyd, you know, those guys were tripping out.
Yeah, do you need that to get to that other level? You know, Joe Walsh, who was another great guitar player, yeah, he kind of dispelled that myth because I think he went through it. No, I think he went through it, but now he's been sober, I think, because I heard him talk and he thought that was crazy. But I'm not agreeing with it because I do think some of those drugs, if you have the talent, could open up another area of your brain to make you creative. So I guess that's how you use it, and if you don't abuse it, but.
Could enhance, like.
Yeah, I think it. You know.
Say Ace Frehley from Kiss, if he wasn't so messed up on drugs and booze, he wouldn't probably have been as you know, theatrical and technical as he was.
I don't think you could. I don't think it's right, but I don't think you could argue it. We're not saying go out and do drugs and pick up an instrument.
Sure.
But if you're good, you might want to explore that avenue.
Listen, we're not telling you to do it, but
no, definitely. But those guys were all, like you said, that era in the '70s. Everybody was experimenting with something that was crazy. That was nuts.
So besides music and playing the guitar, anything else that you do in your off time outside of MMA?
That's it. I'm all about MMA and the guitar. If I'm not doing anything, I'm a very simple man. It's a very simple life. You know, I love working out every day. And I love the fights. I love watching guys succeed and go after their dreams and, get all the accolades along the way. It's nice. But that's it. I keep it simple. And the rest,
Well, listen, we know when you walk in here, there's a wall full of pictures, and off the top of my head, to the greatest coach, the best coach, litany of top-notch fighters, a lot of former champions, and it's got to make you feel good when it's. And rightfully so. Listen, I don't think
it's all good.
They could have all gotten there without you being in the recipe, so to speak, right, in the mix.
Yeah, it's been a great ride, really great ride. And you know what I love more than anything? We're all still very close. Everybody's good friends to this day. So I think that's important, is to, even to build friendships. And, how many guys can't, who has a blowout, forget about even divorce, even with your friends,
Sure.
family, everybody. So, I mean, I'm proud of that. Keeping everybody together, too, I think was an important part. And it's good watching, people have kids and their kids grow. And like Sarah's daughter's killing it with the jiu-jitsu now.
He's got 3 or 4 daughters, right?
Yeah, he's got 3 or 4 daughters. One really competing heavy, and she's awesome, Angie. And you could see he's just so proud to be in this aspect of this part of his life. So it's good for me, because I know the guy since he's 17, 18 years old, and he was 100% a mad hatter when he was younger, and he's really matured into just a good person and a great father, great husband. Huge, big stuff to me.
So a lot of good memories.
A lot of 100. Oh no, the memories are good.
So
I got to get a book out. That's the key.
You should.
Yeah, but we're kind of working on something now.
Do a bio.
Yeah.
$1 million question: how long is Ray going to keep doing this?
Man, I don't know. These guys thought I was going to be out a while ago. I tell you, I keep living. They're waiting for me to drop dead, I think, at this point. I don't know. I'm telling you right now, I feel so good. I don't think I'm going anywhere for a while. And 3 or 4 years ago, I was like, I got to get out of here. So, well, my hip was jacked up, so I was kind of limping around, and I had a hip replacement. It was kind of like a new lease on life. So.
Is that why we saw you stretching a little bit earlier?
Yeah, so it's good,
Look, you look great. You look happy. You got a lot of young guys that
feel good, it's
need you to guide them to hopefully get some
I
gold around their
I don't know
waists.
if they need me, but I'm here for them if they do.
Now, would you say right now the top 2 countries, obviously, in MMA would be U.S. and Brazil?
I think Dagestan, whatever region that's from, those guys.
The breakaway Soviet Republic,
yeah,
definitely.
They're keeping.
They all got a nice beard. They all choke. They all strike.
Oh, let me tell you something. Those guys are really, really tough now. I think it's them, right? Who are they? Have they had Khabib was the champ, and Makhachev. Who else do they have? They have Umar coming up. They're looking for that.
A lot of
fight
them that
with
I'm not going to pronounce the name right.
Yeah,
so.
right. There's a lot of guys. I'm doing it wrong too. They're champs in other organizations, but
I noticed
I think those
spread
guys
out
should. You got to watch them. Those guys look really good.
Very well rounded.
Yeah, and
Very
Brazil
well.
really is doing well now. I think for a while they were a little off, but they got a couple of really good teams that are killing it in the UFC. Yeah.
Who do you see in UFC right now, from wherever they're from, whatever nation? But who do you see right now that you just see in the near future? They're going to be a champion, or they're going to be close to being, top of the food chain, dominating maybe the weight classes.
Who's out there now that's coming up? Man, I don't know.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Topuria just became champ, but I would have definitely picked him a year ago. He's really good. I don't know. I got to think about that.
Okay. And obviously, a lot more popular for the girls these days, and a lot more girls in the cage.
Yeah. The girls are doing great, man. They're doing really good. I mean, Kayla Harrison will definitely be a champ. She's not a champ yet in the UFC. That's just a matter of time till she's a champ.
And she was silver Olympian, I believe.
Yeah. Oh no, gold medal.
Gold medal. She was in PFL earlier.
Yeah. She's really good. I like her a lot. And if we can get Pumi in, he'll be the next guy.
So it seems like that's your top pick here, huh, for the young guys?
He's 100%.
So what do we have to do to get this Pumi guy in? I mean, if Dana White's watching, he's got a young guy here with a good cardio, good energy. He's looking to mix it up in the cage.
Matter of time. I don't know what the fuck they're looking for, but he's the complete package.
So if Dana or anybody at UFC's watching, call the man.
Matter of fact, if anybody's watching this, just reach out. How many people are watching this right now, you think?
It's not live, but when we put it on, I mean, it could be anywhere from a couple thousand to 100,000.
Wow.
You never know. I mean,
These guys don't look too excited about that. I don't know.
they had a long day,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's obviously a lot of companies out there besides UFC. There's
Yeah,
Bellator,
yeah.
there's PF. You know,
Well,
go on and on.
Bellator is gone now, so they're down to the PFL and one, which it's kind of a monopoly still, you know, because like I think PFL doesn't even have a 125 division, so.
A lot of things change. No more Pride anymore, obviously. So.
Pride, yeah. The UFC does what all big, good companies do. They buy up their
Buy every
competition.
competition up, yeah.
So they have no competition.
And people said that, if you remember back in the day, that Dana White was crazy when he put $2 million down. Oh, you're going to lose your money, or you have whatever he bought. It was a small amount.
No, it was $2 million.
Yeah, $2 million, and they said, you're crazy. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And fastest growing sport in I think the
Yeah,
world
listen,
right now.
Man, like him, don't like him, you have to respect what he did. $2 million, they were $40 million in the hole.
Yep.
Right? They asked for more money. They did that Spike deal, changed everything around, and I mean,
Took a chance
you
and he reaped the rewards.
really watched the guy build $1 billion company. Oh, not overnight, but you know, I mean, because I know at the beginning they were losing money, but man, he really knocked it out of the park. Him, the Fertittas, whoever was responsible, boy, it's got to be worth $10 billion, I guess now. I think
Hell of a lot more than $2 million.
Yeah. Imagine that investment, what you got back on it.
So you itching to set up maybe a Ray Longo team and fight other teams maybe if Dana's putting another show together?
If he was doing that, yeah, that would be great.
I mean, I know you got enough guys in here to probably build a couple teams.
Yeah, they should do that. I mean, that would have been a concept, gym against gym, something like that. I think that
Even worldwide or even national.
that would be fun. Yeah, I would be into
So
that.
if Dana or anybody else is watching, Ray's got a list of young hungry guys that want to come in and fight. So.
We have a lot of asks out there.
But yeah, listen, it's an interesting place here. We hope we come back with you, Ray.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Hope we come back, maybe interview some of the newer guys, maybe get a hold of Chris and Matt. That'd be great.
Yeah. I'll reach out to Matt, see what he says.
I just missed him about a week ago.
He's going to be hard to corral.
Who's easier, Chris or Matt?
I think Weidman might be easier.
All right.
You know, he's got a manager. They'll make sure he's got the time. I think he's doing it. Yeah. Sarah will do it too, but you got to get.
He's a little more busy.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
All right. Well, Ray, listen, we don't want to keep it too late on a Sunday. We very much appreciate Ray Longo having us here at his MMA facility here in Garden City. A man who has been behind countless folks. You see them all on the wall and behind us there, legendary champions and top contenders. And if you're not ready to retire yet, we see all these young guys in your gym, we're sure you're going to have a few more guys sooner than later.
Yeah.
And as he said, if you're watching Dana or any other companies and you want to go toe-to-toe, gym to gym, he's got a bunch of guys that want to get in the cage, and he'll come to you or you come to him.
This is the end of my career, I think.
No.
All right, anyway, it was a pleasure.
Ray,
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
you. I wanna thank you
anytime
for
you want to
having
come
us.
back and interview some of the up-and-comers, that'll be great.